Hello friends, welcome to Learning Physics again. In the last lesson, we had learned about the electric lines of force and the electric flux. Today, we are going to learn about the electric dipole. The electric dipole is simply a pair of equal and opposite charges. In nature, we have plenty of dipoles. The most common dipole is the water molecule. The unequal sharing of electrons causes a polar covalent bond, and that makes a polar molecule. A polar molecule is a dipole. Look at this Mickey here. These two ears are the two hydrogen atoms, and his face is the oxygen atom. That's how I remember the water molecule always. Now I said the dipole is a pair of equal and opposite charges. We had earlier learned how to calculate the electric field due to a single charge. Since we have two charges here, does it mean that the electrical field due to these two charges cancel out each other? No, not really. The electrical field in the vicinity of this dipole is the vector sum of the electrical field due to individual charges. We are going to learn about all this today. An electric dipole is a pair of equal and opposite charges q and minus q separated by a distance, let's say 2a. The line connecting the two charges defines a direction in space. Now, what is the convention? The direction from minus q to q is supposed to be the direction of the dipole. The midpoint of minus q and q is supposed to be the center of the dipole. The total charge of the electrical dipole is zero. Mind you, it is plus q and minus q. And total charge is the algebraic sum of these two charges. So the total charge of the electrical dipole is zero. But it does not mean that the electrical dipole, the field due to the electrical dipole is also zero. Since q and minus q are separated by some distance, the electrical fields due to them do not exactly cancel out each other. However, at distances much larger than the distance between the two charges, the fields due to q and minus q nearly cancel out each other. The electric field due to a dipole falls off at large distances much faster than the electric field due to a single charge. We had studied earlier that the electrical field due to a single charge is proportional to 1 by r square. Now we will check out how the electrical field due to a dipole falls off at larger distances. The electrical field of any pair of charges at any point in space can be found out by the Coulomb's law and the superimposition principle. At first, we are going to consider two simple cases. First, when the point is on the dipole axis, that is, the line joining the minus q to q and beyond, that is the dipole axis extended on both sides. So we will find out the strength of the field when a point is on the dipole axis. Secondly, we will see when the point is on the equatorial plane. Now, what is an equatorial plane? The equatorial plane is a plane perpendicular to the dipole axis through the center of the dipole. Now let us calculate the electric field at a point on the axial plane of a dipole. Here we have a dipole, a pair of equal and opposite charges. The line joining minus q to plus q is the direction of the dipole, and this line extended on both sides is the axis of the dipole. We have a point P on the axis of the dipole at a distance r from the center of the dipole. Let us calculate the electric field at P due to the charge minus Q. And we have already learned the Coulomb's law. We can use that to calculate this electric field. The electric field due to the charge minus Q is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught. This is the constant. Denominator, we have the distance square, that is r plus a bracket square, and in the numerator we have the charge, the magnitude of the charge, and this is p hat, the unit vector. This is along the axis of the dipole. But what is this minus sign here? This is because the force is now acting from point P towards the charge minus Q. The electric field due to the positive charge Q at P can also be calculated using the Coulomb's law. The electric field E due to the charge Q is again given by 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught. And what is the distance here? R minus A. So R minus A bracket square. We have the charge Q in the numerator and P hat. This is a unit vector along the direction of the dipole. The total field at P due to both these charges is an algebraic sum. So what is it? It is E equal to E plus Q, that is due to the charge plus Q, and E due to the minus Q. And in both these expressions, I have got Q by 4 pi epsilon naught common, so I take it out. And I have here in the bracket 1 by r minus a bracket square minus 1 by r plus a bracket square and the unit vector p hat, which gives the direction to this field. If I simplify what is in the bracket, I will get 4ar by r square minus a square bracket square, and here is a p hat, that is a unit vector. Now, as I said, dipoles are very small, like that water molecule you saw. The distance between these two charges is very, very small compared to the distance from P to the center of the dipole. So, if the distance r, the distance of point P from the center, is much, much greater than A, which is half the distance between the two charges, then I can ignore A, especially the higher orders of A. So I can ignore this A square raised to square again. And what do I have? What do I have here? I simply have 4QA divided by 4 pi epsilon naught r cube. Look here, r square raised to square is r to the power 4, and we have an r in the numerator. So that cancels out and I am left with r cube. And again, don't forget p hat, the direction vector. And in which direction is this force acting? Net force or the net electrical field? In the direction towards left from P. Now let us calculate the electric field at a point P on the equatorial plane of a dipole. Now you will ask me, what is the equatorial plane of a dipole? We have here a dipole, the charge minus Q and the charge plus Q. The axis of the dipole and the direction of the dipole is from minus Q to plus Q. If a plane passes through the center of the dipole O, and is perpendicular to the axis of the dipole, then this plane, as shown here, is called the equatorial plane of the dipole. We want to calculate the electric field at any point P lying on this equatorial plane. Now, we have two charges, plus Q and minus Q. The magnitudes of both the charges are equal. Now, what about the distance from minus Q to plus Q to point P and from plus Q to the point P? You will see that both the distances are also symmetrical. Both are equal. What is the distance from Q to P? If you see here, the perpendicular PO to the center of the dipole is R. The distance of point P from the center of the dipole is R. The distance from O to charge Q is A. So by Pythagoras, I have got A square plus R square is equal to AP square, the distance between A and P. So now what is the distance between A to P, that is from charge Q to P? It is under root R square plus A square. Similarly, the distance from charge minus Q to P is under root R square plus A square. So, using the Coulomb's law, we have the field at P due to the charge Q, which is field E due to Q 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught, and this is the distance square. The distance was under root R square plus A square, so the distance square is R square plus A square. In the numerator, I have the magnitude of the charge Q. What is the magnitude of the electric field due to minus Q? The magnitude of the field due to minus Q is also same, because the magnitudes of both the charges are same and distance is also same. But let us see the direction. The direction of the field due to charge Q is in the direction AP and beyond. This is a repulsive force due to the positive charge Q. And the electric field due to the charge minus Q is in the direction PB. This is an attractive force, this being a negative charge. Now, I can resolve each of these electric fields, the field due to Q and the field due to minus Q, into two components. Let us say the field due to plus Q. The field is along the blue line as is shown here. I can resolve it into one component which is normal and it will be facing upwards, and the other component will be to the right as shown in the arrow here. Similarly, I can resolve the field due to minus Q into one component which is normal but in the downward direction, and the other component will be again to the right as shown by the arrow here. The components which are normal due to the charge plus Q in the upward direction and the component due to the minus Q charge which is in the downward direction, they are equal in magnitude but opposite in sign, so they cancel out each other. Now the components which were to the right side in the direction PE, both due to Q and minus Q, being in the same direction, they add up. You will also see that the resultant electric field in the direction of PE is in the opposite direction of the dipole. As I had pointed out earlier, the total electric field due to both the charges is in the direction PE, which is opposite to the axis of the dipole or the direction of the dipole. So, when I get the total field due to the charge q and due to the charge minus q, I need to put a negative sign to their algebraic sum here because the total field is in the opposite direction of the unit vector p hat. So what is the total field? Total field E is given by minus, I explained to you the reason, the field E due to the charge Q and the field E due to the charge minus Q and cos theta and P hat. Why cos theta? Because we are only taking the components which are in this direction and ignoring the normal components which have cancelled out each other. Now let us see what is this theta and cos theta. If angle PAB is some angle theta, then from geometry you will see that the angle E plus Q to P and E, this is also theta, and the angle BPE is also theta. Now the electric field due to plus Q is along the line PE plus Q. I need to take only the component along the direction PE. And since this angle is theta, the component would be EQ into cos theta. Similarly, the component of this field due to minus Q would be E minus Q into cos of theta. So I will get the component along this direction. Now what is this cos theta? Earlier I had told you that this distance here is R and this distance is A. And what is the distance AP? Under root R square plus A square. And what is cos theta? Cos theta is the adjacent side upon the hypotenuse. So cos theta is A divided by under root R square plus A square. So that's how I have got here cos theta equal to A divided by under root R square plus A square. I substitute this in the formula here. So I have the total electrical field E, a negative sign outside the bracket, and inside I have the magnitude of the field due to charge plus Q, the magnitude of the field due to charge minus Q, which are both exactly equal in this case, and multiplied by cos theta, and the unit vector P hat, which indicates the direction of the dipole. So if I simplify this, both being equal, the magnitudes of field due to Q and minus Q being equal, I have the total field E equal to, the minus sign remains for the reasons that I have explained, 2QA upon 4 pi epsilon, and here I have got R square plus A square raised to 3 by 2 with a unit vector P hat. Now if R, the distance of the point P from the center of the dipole, is much bigger than A, then I can ignore the higher orders of A in my equation. So I have got the electrical field E equal to 2QA upon 4 pi epsilon naught R cube and P hat, the unit vector indicating the direction of the dipole. And why do I have this minus sign? Because the electric field is opposite to the direction of the dipole. Now look here, since I have A square which I have ignored, I have only got R square. R square raised to 3 by 2 just leaves me with R cube. So the magnitude and the direction of the electrical field due to the dipole on the equatorial plane is given by the expression minus 2QA by 4 pi epsilon naught R cube into P hat. So if the point is at a distance r, which is much larger than half the distance of the dipole, then the electric field at any point on the axial plane is 4qa by 4 pi epsilon naught r cube into p hat. And what is the field on the equatorial plane? The field on the equatorial plane is 2qa by 4 pi epsilon naught r cube into p hat. And this is the minus sign because this field is opposite direction of the dipole. Now the dipole field at large distances, you will see it doesn't depend only on Q or only on A. It depends on the product of QA in both cases. Now this suggests the definition of a dipole moment. The dipole moment vector, if I call it P, of an electrical dipole is defined as P, the dipole moment vector, is equal to Q, one of the charges, into 2A, the distance between those two charges, into P hat. I require this P hat because this is a vector. When you studied your 11th class, you studied moment of the couple, or in the 9th class also you studied the moment of the couple. There were two forces of equivalent magnitude acting in opposite direction at a certain distance between them. And the moment of the couple was force into the distance of the parallel forces. Similarly, the dipole moment is the charge into the distance between the two charges, multiplied of course by p hat, which gives direction to this dipole moment vector. We can now define the electrical field E in terms of the dipole moment vector. Now I have a QA here, I have a P hat here, and out of this 4, if I take out 2, I can take 2 into 2QA into P hat. So it will simply become E equal to 2. See, this P denotes the dipole moment vector, denotes 2QA into P hat. So the electrical field is 2P upon 4 pi epsilon naught r cube. And the field on the equatorial plane, similarly here, 2QA and P hat, all of them simply become P, the dipole moment vector, upon 4 pi epsilon naught r cube. Now I look at it this way. E is equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught, which is a constant. And in the numerator, I have got 2 times the dipole moment vector divided by r cube. Here I have got 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught, which is a constant, multiplied by, in the numerator, the dipole moment vector, and in the denominator, r cube. And of course, the field is opposite to the direction of the dipole, so a minus sign here. You will see that the field is inversely proportional to r cube, so it falls off much faster than the field due to a single charge. Now there are some interesting and important points about the electric field at large distances due to a dipole. The field due to a dipole falls off proportional to 1 by r cube and not as proportional to 1 by r square as in the case of a point charge. So the field strength in the case of a dipole decreases much faster than in the case of a point charge. The magnitude and direction of the dipole, the field due to the dipole, depends not only on the distance r, but also on the angle between the position vector r and the dipole moment p. Correct? As a limiting case, when the dipole size, let us say, which is 2a, it becomes smaller and smaller and it approaches 0. And if it is approaching 0 and q becomes bigger and bigger in such a way that the product P, which is equal to Q into 2A, is finite. Because if Q is becoming bigger and bigger, this product should not become infinite. So such a dipole is referred to as a point dipole. That means 2A approaches 0, but at the dipole moment vector is finite. Such a dipole is called a point dipole. So the electric field due to a point dipole, both on the axis as well as on the equatorial plane, is again given by the formulas which we have just seen. They are true for any value of r for a point dipole. Now, what is the physical significance of dipoles? In most molecules, the centers of positive charges and of negative charges lie at the same place. Therefore, their dipole moment is zero. The carbon dioxide molecule and the CH4 molecule are these types of molecules. Now look here, here is a carbon dioxide molecule. Now this forms a dipole, one in this direction and the second in this direction. So it forms two dipoles. The overall dipole moment is zero. However, when I apply an electric field to this dipole, the electric field will be in a particular direction, then these molecules develop a dipole moment. Now, there are some molecules where the centers of negative and positive charges, they do not coincide. So they have a permanent electrical dipole moment. Even if I don't apply an electric field, these molecules have a dipole moment. Now such molecules are called polar molecules. The water molecule is a common example of such a polar molecule. Now look here. Here is an atom of hydrogen and here is an atom of oxygen. Now the dipole due to these two atoms is in a particular direction. Similarly, there is an atom of hydrogen here and there is an atom of oxygen here. The dipole due to these two atoms is in this particular direction as shown by the arrow. Now, these two dipole moments do not cancel out each other. So, there is an overall dipole moment in this direction. Now, do not worry why this arrangement of hydrogen atoms and oxygen atoms is in this way here, and in the case of carbon dioxide it is in this manner. This will be covered probably in your chemistry classes, but suffice to know that in the case of a water molecule the arrangement of atoms is like this. So there is an overall dipole moment even in the absence of a applied electric field. Now there are many interesting properties which come up because of this permanent dipole moment. For example, we all use the microwave oven very commonly nowadays. Now the microwave oven has an electric field which changes direction rapidly in the frequency in which the microwave frequency is working. Now it means the water molecules which are in the food that we bake in the microwave oven, they are subjected to an electric field in very fast changing directions from one direction to the other. So due to the changing electrical field direction, the water molecule which acts as a dipole tends to flip-flop. And due to this flip-flop movement of the water molecule, there are frictional forces. There is kinetic energy which generates heating and that cooks our food. Have you understood this? Now I hope you have enjoyed this session. In the next session, we will see a few examples based on what we have learned today. So please revise this lesson before you attend the next one. Thank you and all the best.